Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media and streaming live on Facebook. I hope you are all having a fantabulous, wonderful day. Happy Friday to you. I have two guests as usual this week. My first guest is Carolyn Benson. She's a singer and all around patriot. She's going to talk to us about getting a rise in patriotism across our nation. I'm very excited to have this conversation with her. And then my guest for hour two is Chris D. Bentley. He's an award-winning realtor from Dallas. He's an entrepreneur and business owner, and he's going to talk to us about how to stop buying leads and rebuild your brand. So it's very, very exciting show for me today, and I hope you guys find that to be the case as well. A couple of items from the news today. Actually, before I do that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Did you know that if you wanted to watch Money Talk with Melanie rather than just listen via iTunes or something like that, that you can do so on YouTube? I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Money Talk with Melanie. If you subscribe there, you get all the live videos, all the copies of the live videos there. And I keep forgetting to tell people. I also have a website. If you want to know who's coming up on the show, moneytalkwithmelanie.com. You can check that out. And you can follow me on Twitter at Money Talk Mel. If for some reason you want to follow my political musings, you can follow me at NJGOP. Let me back that up at NJ Diva. But at oh, I forgot my Twitter handle. All of a sudden, forgot my Twitter at NJGOP Diva. There it is. I turned 49 last week and suddenly my brain at NJGOP Diva is where you can follow my political musings if you should choose. If you want to follow the show on Facebook, you can do so at Money Talk with Melanie. If you want to follow the show on Twitter at Money Talk Mel. And Money Talk with Melanie is also on LinkedIn and Pinterest and everywhere else, that every other brand of social media. It was even on Google Plus before they got rid of it. But I wanted to make sure that I told you guys that because I keep forgetting to mention those things and all the places where you can find Money Talk with Melanie. I'm also on iHeartRadio and Spotify if you do prefer the audio version. Anywhere that you want to listen to Money Talk with Melanie, you can listen to the show. Quite frankly, I didn't even know I was on Spotify until someone else told me. How about that? But the show is on Spotify, and it looks really cool too. I mean, I'd listen to it on Spotify. Okay, a little bit of the Money Talk news. Of course, you guys have sadly probably heard by now about the mysterious vaping illness that's going on across the country. It's really sickened up to 530 people across 38 states. This is according to U.S. federal health officials. And they say they still don't know what's causing this dangerous respiratory disease. They say they're going to keep researching it. So it's bringing into question, whether or not we should be using these e-cigarettes or these or vaping. I don't do either. And I know plenty of people who struggle with smoking and they switch to e-cigarettes and supposedly it's supposed to be safer. I really don't know, but it's something to consider, something to talk to your doctor about. And the FDA is thinking that it might be something in the supply chain, like some type of poisoning or something like that in the supply chain with the e-cigarettes and the flavored ones in particular they're looking at. So just be careful out there with those kinds of things. Airbnb is planning to go public in 2020. Believe it or not, I frankly love Airbnb. They reported a revenue of more than $1 billion in the second quarter. Good for them. And they mentioned this in March, and they've been around for a decade now, and I didn't even realize that. Just like Uber and Lyft, it's been 10 years that quickly. So they also revealed. I apologize for that. They also revealed that they have. They also revealed let me make sure that I have this right. That users who list their homes and rooms on a platform made over $80 billion since it began. How about that? Airbnb is doing really well. And as long as you're careful about what neighborhood you're going into and things like that, you should be okay with Airbnb. I know some people are afraid of it. But I personally am a big fan of Airbnb, and apparently I'm not the only one. And then finally, the streaming wars are generating huge hauls for rights holders of syndicated network television shows like The Big Bang Theory, Seinfeld, and The Office. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter. And of course, Law and Order. I absolutely love Law and Order. I'm Law and Order addicted. Whenever there's a marathon on, I will definitely listen to it, or definitely watch it. And apparently, they are bringing in big bucks by doing it. $1 billion. Instagram says that it's going to restrict certain posts that are tied to diet products and plastic surgery after concerns over the impact on young people's mental health and body image. So these are posts that claim that they make miracle claims about weight loss and diets and things like that. And I think this is more of the nanny state and more babysitting. I really don't like that. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of them necessarily doing that. I mean, buyer beware. We should have some good sense about whether or not we can buy these things. Okay, we are up against a commercial break. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. My guests today are Carolyn Benson and Chris D. Bentley. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Right now, you can get the credit you deserve. Just visit MrCreditRepair.biz. Let their expert credit repair specialist remove late payments, charge-offs, collections, even old bankruptcies fast and easy. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Why go anyplace else? Increase your credit score today. At Mr. Credit, you always get a quality service, all at our everyday discounted price. Stop getting turned down for cars, credit cards, or even new homes. Visit MrCreditRepair.biz today. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Your credit repair is our #1 priority.
Making a living can be tough these days with so many jobs going overseas. If you love numbers and puzzles and want job security, you can become a tax specialist. With an amazing 6-month tax course from Tax Mama, operate your own tax practice locally or anywhere in the world where there are American taxpayers. It's a great way to write off your trips to visit family for months at a time. Everything you need to pass the IRS 3 special enrollment examinations is included in this course. Visit irsexams.school. And if you need more than 6 months, that's okay. Take your time. You're in the course until you pass the exams or until you unsubscribe and reject Tax Mama's emails.
Could a recent federal judge decision bring Obama-era State Department dirt in the dark to the light of day? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook. Thanks to federal judge Royce Lambert, who's sickened by the State Department's willingness to tell a bunch of lies and cover up for Mrs. Clinton's illegal actions, the judge granted additional discovery to Judicial Watch in the Hillary Clinton email cover-up scandal. Judicial Watch has released the transcript from their hearing on August 22, 2019, where U.S. District Judge Royce Lambert granted significant new discovery to Judicial Watch on the Clinton email issue. Judicial Watch versus U.S. Department of State, also Senate Finance and Homeland Security Committees, released documents revealing that Clinton IT aide Paul Combetta copied all but 4 of the missing emails to a Gmail account that does not appear to have ever been reconstructed and searched. Judge Lambert also criticized the State Department's handling of the production of Clinton's emails, in this case stating, quote, "There is no Freedom of Information Act exemption for political expedience, nor is there one for bureaucratic in confidence. Could true justice be next? I'm Ron Edwards, and we will meet soon on yet another page from the Edwards Notebook.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media and streaming live on Facebook. Welcome back. My first guest is Carolyn Benson. I'm very excited to have her on the show today because we're going to be able to talk about patriotism. She is a singer, but she's a patriotic singer, and I can't wait to talk to her. Her musical career inspiration began in musical theater at a very young age, always participating and performing in grade school productions. This never stopped over the years, and Carolyn went on to attend Shenandoah Conservatory of Music to further her natural musical talents and pursue a higher education in music performance. Following the conservatory, Carolyn took a step back from music after meeting her husband-to-be. They were married and together have 2 lovely children, but her passion for music never ceased, calling her back to the stage. Being a lover of Linda Ronstadt's music and all of its styles and nuances, Carolyn formed a Linda Ronstadt tribute band called Blue Bayou, which garnered much success and recognition. This allowed her to build her repertoire and exercise her vocals and stage talents. With many live performances under her belt and production offers since then, Carolyn sought out to honor her inner voice and had been her beacon all along by returning to the stage with original music and original arrangements of popular songs. Currently, Carolyn's working with and being produced by Juilliard graduate and international multi-instrumentalist Gray DeVio. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Together, they are excited to continue the realization of Carolyn's musical potential and deliver it to the world. I'm very excited to introduce, without further ado, Carolyn Benson.
Good afternoon, Melanie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the air with you today. It's really an honor. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you do. Is there anything that I left out of your bio that you'd like to tell the audience? Anything that's new that's going on that you'd like to add?
Well, we're just, with working with Gray DeVio, as you said at the end, that's sort of where I've picked up and tried to find my own voice and get my chops back into singing. And working with Gray is when we recorded Forever in My Heart, which is a patriotic salute to our troops and dedicated to our troops. And from there, I've put together a show called Anthem, and it's a patriotic rock and roll salute to America and the troops. And I'm starting to get out and perform at bases and veterans' homes and hope to get into theaters in the near future. So I'm really excited. Heading into this part 2 in life, I feel that this is sort of always been a calling. I let singing go to the wayside while raising my family, and now they're growing up. They're not gone. They're just it's at a point where they're seeking out what they're going to do with life, and I think it's time that I figure out what I'm going to do with my life. Oh,
I love it. I love it for you. So let's talk a little bit about this, about patriotism and how it really recent studies have shown that patriotism has been on the low among young people, and you're seeking to fix that in a way.
Well, I am. And I grew up with a father that was a Marine, is a Marine, and he's so proud of this country, and he instilled those values in us. I have always been proud of this country, proud of our troops. However, I can see that even in my own home, through the schools and some of what they teach, there is a slide down of how they view America. While we have always had our problems, we've always had the American spirit that we were always able to pull together, and I don't think we're at that point these days. And I find music is a thread, just a small thread that might be able to pull us all together.
Oh, I like the thought of that. I like exactly what you're saying about that. What do you attribute to the decline, if you will, of patriotism among the young people. Do you have any theories on why that might be, especially being the daughter of a Marine? I'm sure that bothers you.
Well, it does. I think the most thing that everybody has a view of the world, and that's their view, and everybody goes through this life. They're brought onto this earth to do their own free will, and so we all have our different views and opinions. I think somewhere along the line, whether it was relations from race, your neighbors, whomever, we've divided each other. We're divided. There is no common ground anymore. And so I'm not sure exactly where it started. I might have a few opinions, but I don't think exactly my opinion should be put onto everybody else. I think I'm more here to talk about how can we pull back together as a country? How can we fix this? Because it needs to be fixed.
It does need to be fixed. What is ironic is, all of us who live here in America, that's the one thing that we do have common ground on, is that,
Right.
if you're a citizen, specifically, you're an American, but even if you live here, we all live in the same country. And if we choose to live here, you would think you would want the country to be great and you would want the country to be unified.
Well, it'd be like riding in an airplane. You want the pilot to be successful. So
exactly.
We want this country to be successful, so we're successful. But we also don't want to be so divided. One thing I can speak to, and my husband is retired from the police force, and he has spent 26 years serving. And we have watched my husband walk out. There's my kid's father, walk out the door every day with a bulletproof vest on, going out and to serve his community, and did it with honor, and never with condescending attitude or hatred in his heart. He loves everybody. He would save anybody. And I think as far as I can stand and speak as a wife of a police officer, I saw some things happening as far as the police are concerned that really degraded the whole police force. Look at the water being thrown on policemen these days. Let me tell you, in every single occupation in this world, you'll have a percentage of very bad people. It's police, there's firemen, you have priests that are bad, you have, rabbis that are bad, you have a lot of people that are bad, but remember this, there is more good than bad.
Oh, I tend to.
This narrative, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say I tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah, so this narrative that policemen are bad and have this view of to be against certain groups, it's not true. Again, there are bad people, but you cannot want a whole police force and say they're bad, they're going to hurt you. They're not. They're there to protect you.
That's for sure. Do you think that that some of the things that we're seeing in the political climate today is affecting patriotism? Like, there's this a lot of students, and full reveal, I'm also a high school teacher. A lot of yeah, I know. I could tell you stories that would make your hair stand on end. But yeah. A lot of communistic types of teachings are going on in the schools today. Like, everything is free medical care, free jobs, or no job at all, and we'll just pay you, things like that. And that is really kind of against the American spirit. Would you agree with that?
I do. And, we tell our daughter, you have to work hard in college and you're going to have to take care of yourself. Nothing is free, and nothing is free. Nothing. And believe it or not, I believe it. I don't have the facts behind me. Sometimes I'm more of a feel person, but being in the middle class, we have had a lot of the burden on us. And we just get by, especially living in New York. It has not always been easy for us to give the children, the house and give them what they would like and extras. And we've had to cut a lot to make ends meet.
Oh, for sure,
And,
especially in
and
New York.
I see a big conversation going on right now about colleges and being free. I'm sorry, colleges shouldn't be free. Or if they are, you have to be responsible. When you're going to live in a college, don't go to a college that's going to put your family in debt. Or if you're going to take a loan out, a mortgage, every child is smart. Every child deserves an opportunity. Every child.
Every child deserves an opportunity, but do they necessarily deserve a 4-year education based on what they, based on what they did in high school or what they did in middle school? Is every child entitled to that? As a teacher, I'm not sure. As someone
Right.
who's, you know what I mean? As someone who sees the different levels of effort that's put forth.
Well, I can only speak from my personal experience and now having a child in college. We went around college to college, and there was some wonderful colleges my daughter wanted to go to that we knew we can't afford $60,000 a year, even with a scholarship. Not going to happen. Then you see some kids that get full rides or, scholarship based on need or single parent. And I think everybody did, but everybody deserves a chance. But I find it frustrating when we're working so hard and my daughter's working so hard and we can't give her the education that she really wants.
Right.
I don't know if the word deserve is always a good thing to say. We all deserve something.
No, I think an opportunity is a great way to put it. And it's funny that you say that, because people have often asked me, I'm conservative in my political leanings, and people often ask me when that started. And I always tell them the story about how it started in undergraduate school. The same thing that you were saying about kids getting free rides or, because of their circumstances, but there's nothing for people who are middle class and working hard. My parents were middle class as well. So I got nothing as far as a scholarship or anything like that. So I had to work 2 jobs in undergrad in order to get my education. And, meanwhile, the kids who were getting free rides, like no skin in the game, didn't have to get a job, didn't have to do anything to support themselves because everything was provided for them. They didn't have to do anything, and I'd be walking by them, with my sore feet from standing all day, going back to my apartment to study or whatever while they were partying. And that was like the beginning for me of my thinking, this is just not right.
Yeah, something we are off balance. We're not equal. We don't have equal justice. We're not equal footing right now. There are those that are getting everything for free, and there's a group that we're just struggling.
Well,
I'd love to help everybody. I really would, but I have to. It's like on an airplane when it's going down and the air comes, the mask comes down. You have to save yourself first to help others, and that's sort of what we're trying to do here. And through tough times, help our children, get an education and put them up on their 2 feet so they can go out and be productive citizens of this country.
That's true. Go ahead.
No, it's just that they need to understand. So going back to the schools and what they teach, I see what some teachers post on Facebook. I'm friends with them. It's not my views, but I know they're espousing it in the classroom, and it bothers me.
Yes,
There's not much I can do, but when they come home through the door, and it sort of show how we are and who we are, and my children have seen us struggle financially. My children see me struggle trying to create a career in a super crazy super crazy business as singing. I mean, but that I feel is the only way I can contribute to my home, because that is what my tools are. That is what I am inherently good at. But we need 2 people working.
Let me ask you about that. As a parent, as a parent who had to teach your kids, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you have to work for everything that you get. Do you find that there's a difference in parenting from your generation to the current generation?
Well, I think there is a mindset of it will come to them. I'm trying to. I love being political.
Oh no, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just wondering. No, I'm just wondering if the generation, if there was something that we did wrong with this generation, that they're not quite as patriotic as generations past. If there's some difference in the parenting that made them a little less patriotic, a little less respectful of authority, a little less having a little less integrity. Like, for example, I find that cheating is very pervasive throughout the schools, and nobody seems to be bothered by it. Like, the parents don't seem to be bothered by it. Do you see that as a generational thing? Like, I feel like that ties into our patriotism.
Oh, I do. Yeah, that's funny you say. I do believe that. And I believe, like, I look at my parents, or I look at my parents' parents, and, you know, World War II, my Uncle Frank, World War II, came home, he got married, had children, went to work for the post office, never spoke about it. I mean, you saw all his memorabilia from the war, and every now and again he'd speak about it. He knew something was wrong. But that generation, the greatest generation, they came home and they built this country. So in the generation after them, so they went through the war and very hard times. So people like my parents, they knew what hard work was like. But then life started getting easier again. So I was very fortunate growing up. Like I said, I had two wonderful parents. I was one of 5 children, grew up on Long Island. We were fortunate, but yet they always taught us we had to work hard.
And I think too that I'm wondering if, you know, like the veterans from the Korean War and the Vietnam War and wars like that, where they were drafted and they didn't have a choice as to whether or not they wanted to serve their country. You know, I wonder if that made a difference. I wonder if the kids are like a little bit spoiled because they don't have that have to as far as serving the country.
Well, look at this. We've even taken the option out of a lot of schools of ROTC.
Yes.
That would be even interested in serving. No, we can't talk about it. We can't have that. When I was in elementary school, we could sing Silent Night in the school. We played with dreidels. We did these things. We had potato pancakes at the holidays. I loved it. Anything with food, I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm with you on that.
My friends were Jewish. It's great. It was a melting pot. That's what life was about, and you could sing those Jewish songs. Now, I noticed when I started putting my kids in elementary school, for example, I walked into this elementary school, and they had one of those blow-up Frosty the Snowman that had Merry Christmas on it, right?
Right.
The little placard, the little hands are holding. They had a piece of construction paper hiding the Merry Christmas and saying Happy Holidays. See, we started taking out the importance of Christmas and the importance of the holidays and take out the song. We have vanilla-ized our children so much that they don't really have anything to hold on to.
That is so true. I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. Listen, we're up against a commercial break. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. My guest this hour is Carolyn Benson. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
New show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
No surrender, ever.
because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media and streaming live on Facebook. My guest this hour is Carolyn Benson, singer and overall patriot, and she's on a patriotic tour with her group. The name of the group is Anthem.
Yeah, the name of the show is Anthem.
Okay, the name is.
And so it's Carolyn Benson.
Okay.
And with my show, and I have a band, a 5-piece band, and it's great.
I have a piece.
Well, I think it is.
Oh, I think it is too. I actually have a little sample here if you don't mind me playing it.
Oh, I love it.
Let me see if I can get it going here.
Okay.
Driving down this broken road, I don't know where it goes, so I'll take the time to write a rhyme. It's your eternal rose. From dusk to dawn, I sing a song, pray God return me home, 'cause it's been too long and I ain't that strong alone. Wanna hold you tight and never let you go.
That's beautiful. That's just the first stanza there. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I love that song. Yeah, it's dedicated to the armed forces, and it's from the perspective of that person that is overseas or away from home, and no matter what happens, that I'm always thinking of you and forever in my heart, and that it goes as well for those family members sitting at home and waiting for their loved ones who have been gone for so long to serve our country.
For sure. I have a friend actually right now. She's a Facebook friend. I've never actually met her in person, but I feel like I know her. And her daughter is away at boot camp right now. And she gives us like daily she gives us like daily updates. She just got a letter from her daughter the other day, so she's thrilled. So somebody in a Facebook chat said, get in there and sing it, Melanie. I don't think Carolyn wants me doing that.
We'll bring you up on stage one time.
Oh my goodness, how awesome would that be? That would be so much fun. Yeah, she's giving us daily updates, and it just really is. We need more patriotism in this world, and as a part of our culture. And it's a shame that it is dying. How far reaching is your tour, and where do the proceeds go? That kind of thing.
Well, the song that you just heard, "Forever in My Heart," I'm trying to do something like this whole Portuan life and how I'm going to move ahead and figure out who I'm going to be when I grow up and what I want to do. It came first through how can I be of service? So, and how can I help my husband and the family out? So that's how I started singing again. And then when I was fortunate enough to get "Forever in My Heart," we decided to dedicate to the armed forces. But we're just beginning to get into understanding all of these veterans organizations, foundations that are out there. So Gary Sinise came to me first. He does so many wonderful things for our warriors and wounded warriors. I taking a portion of the sales of that song and donating it to the Gary Sinise Foundation.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's my goal. As far as Anthem is concerned, we just played down at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, over the summer. I'm headed down to Camp Lejeune in November, and in November and in December as well to Camp Lejeune to perform my songs. And then I'm looking to we're booking already. We have some really good inquiries for 2020, so I'll let you know more about that once we get everything settled. But I have a lot of interest in this show, and I'm just so excited that I'm able to get up there and perform such songs as "God Bless America" and "America the Beautiful," and some of my originals, and even great rock and roll songs. Well, as far as like "Back in the USA" is concerned, that's a Linda Ronstadt song because I had a Linda Ronstadt tribute band, and I just love that song.
Oh, that's excellent. And how do you think that music plays a part in unifying our nation as far as our patriotism is concerned, and maybe creating a rise in patriotism that way? I mean, we have ourselves really to blame if we're not looking to support our country, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and I think we have cut off all conversations with each other. I mean, I have friends that won't even talk to me that I've never even had a conversation about politics with. And that it breaks my heart because no matter what, I love them. We may disagree on a lot of issues, socially, financially, whatever. Why wouldn't you want to talk to me?
Exactly.
What is going on here? Why are families, being torn apart by politics? Listen, I have to be honest. Even when my daughter and I speak, my daughter is super, super intelligent and smart and has in international relations, and she's gonna be something. She and I don't always agree. I have to learn as a mother and a parent first. I have to learn how to listen. I'm not only trying to go out there and help the rest of the country. I'm actually trying to learn it myself. So why not learn it all together?
That's not a bad idea, listening for all of us, right?
Right. And not learn how to, get so, oh my God, that's not what I said.
Well, we don't.
I really listened to what you were saying. So
Do you think social media plays a role in that kind of thing, and us not really listening to each other because we can just, tap on the computer and say what we want without necessarily really reading what other people are saying or listening to what other people are saying? Do you think social media contributes to that?
Absolutely. And it's up to the human being and the individual to go out and search for their own information. And it's not, you can't even rely on the Googles of the world or the big names, the big techs that are going to give you the right information. You have to go out and search on your own. Just don't be a lemming. Just
if people were to understand how Google searches actually worked, they'd be freaked out. They really would. There's a very interesting TED Talk on the TED Talk site that explains from a technical perspective, it explains the Google algorithm. It's really,
right.
But it explains it in a non-techie way so that I teach computers. Just that's what I teach.
And I think everybody needs to know that. I think years ago, do you remember, nobody had a cell phone. Really, it was a luxury if you had a cell phone. I mean, even if somebody had it in their car, it was beyond.
You were fancy.
We were fancy, and all of a sudden everybody started getting cell phones, and then they were giving the cell phones away for free. So then they started flooding the world with cell phones and technology, and here us older kids, they're able to pick it up in an instant. Then you got us old folks who are picking up cell phones and Snapchating it, as I tease my son and I embarrass him, but and learning how to tweet and all this other stuff. We're sitting here trying to figure out how to use a phone. They're running with it. They're ahead with it. They're all into social media. There are things we will never understand about it. There, right there, lies a big problem.
But
I don't think all social media is evil. I think there's part of it that's very good.
I mean, for things like spreading the word about your song and playing it, like the clip that I got from your that I played from your song, I got from the YouTube video. You guys should definitely go check it out. But there isn't a lot of listening. There's just a lot of posting when it comes to social media. So I think getting back to what you said about us needing to listen to each other, I think that's part of the problem.
I'm not even, the kids might even be better than the adults, because let me tell you, there's a problem with the adults. There's a lot of Facebook moms pages, and you go and read somebody will write a concern they have, and other people will come on and just jump on them as if their opinion is the moral authority.
Oh yeah, people do it. Listen, people will do it no matter what the topic is, especially
my God! I saw somebody with a helicopter flying around the other day, and why? And then I'm like, why are you on social media checking out why there's a helicopter? Obviously, there's something going on. We don't need to know everything in this world. But I was reading the whole. I had to go and be nosy and read the whole thread, and I was like, they were so mean to each other over a helicopter.
Keyboard warriors, though. The people are like that. It's very easy when you don't have to look that person in the face to be totally mean.
Right.
And I think it's very easy to be anti-patriotic the same way, kind of against patriotism. I think that there are a few things going on with that, but I think it's very easy to do when you don't have to look that soldier in the face, or you don't have anybody in your family that is going off to some foreign land to protect our country, or someone like you whose husband walked out the door every day in a bulletproof vest in order to protect the neighborhoods that he protects. I think when you don't have to look that person in the face, it's a whole heck of a lot easier to not listen.
I can with my whole heart and my family, and tell those people that feel that police are out to get them, I can speak on behalf of my family. That is not what happens in our home. That's not who this man is, or thank God he's retired. But I know many of the police officers who are the same way. They are not out to hurt you. They want to help you, and that's the message that our news people should be promoting, and our lawmakers should be promoting, and be right there with them. Again, there's bad in all sorts of places in our world. Evil exists, but there is mostly good, and we have to start looking at the mostly good, and that goes with patriotism. And let's look at what our great country has done, and let's look at the good, the American spirit. And when we go to a concert and we see Gertie, do you ask the person next to right you, what political party are you? When Don't Stop Believing comes on, aren't we all singing together?
If don't,
all jumping our feet together? Isn't that what music? It's amazing what music can do.
yeah, when Don't Stop Believing comes on, I think that we can all say as a country, everybody gets up and sings. I was.
Come on, sweet Caroline, are you not going to sing if you know you have somebody on the opposite party and you're singing?
No, I think you definitely are going to sing. No doubt about it.
And if you can't sing to Sweet Caroline, we have a bigger problem.
Yeah, those two songs bring people together, and I think that your song is going to do the same. It's such a beautiful song. So the anthem tour, you said, is going to be where is your next appearances?
So I'm going privately. By myself. We're going down to Camp Lejeune on November the 8th, and then. Now, Ian's going to kill me. It's December 13th on my calendar right now. I knew it all right away. Eden Hill is an amazing person that is helping me as I launch this part 2 in life. And I'm really grateful to be working with her. And through her, I met you. So from there, you can look at my website, carolynbenson.us. We're going to start posting all our dates of where I'll be. And take a look on YouTube, Carolyn Benson, and Carolyn Benson Official has my video up there. You can see it there, and also I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and no, I can't do Snapchat, and I'm trying to get used to doing Instagram.
No, that's perfectly fine. Did you tell us where we can follow you on Twitter? Did I miss it?
I'm at C Benson Official.
Ah, very good. Very good. Excellent. Well, listen, I loved having you on the show. I wish you the best of luck on your tour. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think I'm gonna lead out for the rest of the show with your song. How you like that?
Melanie, I appreciate everything you do for me, and God bless America.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.
All right. Wonderful. You too.
You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live. That was the one and only Carolyn Benson. She's a singer and all-around patriot. It was so great to have her on the show today. And instead of going into a commercial break, I think I'm going to play the rest of her song. And then we'll be back with my next guest, who is Chris D. Bentley. He's an entrepreneur, and he's going to talk to us about how to rebrand ourselves and stop buying leads. Anybody who's ever been in a lead kind of business will tell you that it can be a very difficult thing to have to buy leads and try to keep up with making money. So he will be back with us next.
Driving down this broken road, I don't know where it goes, so I'll take the time to write a rhyme. It's your eternal rose. From dusk to dawn, I sing a song, pray God return me home, 'cause it's been too long and I ain't that strong alone. Wanna hold you tight and never let you go. You and I will be together, do or die as we forever, even though for now we're worlds apart. When you feel alone, read this letter, know that I will leave you never. You will be forever in my heart. You are everything that I needed from the start.
Making a living can be tough these days with so many jobs going overseas. If you love numbers and puzzles and want job security, you can become a tax specialist with an amazing 6-month tax course from Tax Mama. Operate your own tax practice locally or anywhere in the world where there are American taxpayers. It's a great way to write off your trips to visit family for months at a time. Everything you need to pass the IRS 3 special enrollment examinations is included in this course. Visit irsexams.school. And if you need more than 6 months, that's okay. Take your time. You're in the course until you pass the exams or until you unsubscribe and reject Tax Mama's emails.
Right now, you can get the credit you deserve. Just visit MrCreditRepair.biz. Let their expert credit repair specialist remove late payments, charge-offs, collections, even old bankruptcies fast and easy. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Why go anyplace else? Increase your credit score today. At Mr. Credit, you always get a quality service, all at our everyday discounted price. Stop getting turned down for cars, credit cards, or even new homes. Visit MrCreditRepair.biz today. That's MrCreditRepair.biz. Your credit repair is our #1 priority.
If America continues to reject biblical principles, she will eventually find herself tossed upon the ash heap of history. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the United States of America was founded upon the bedrock of both the tremendous principles enumerated in the living word known as the Holy Bible and the insights of William Blackstone of Great Britain, whose influential writings helped solidify in the minds of our founding fathers the true basis of liberty. In regards to the Bible, numerous men of renown testify to its worthiness and what a blessing it is to both we as individuals and our republic as a whole. The great innovator and horticulturalist George Washington Carver stated, "The secret of my success? It is simple. It is found in the Bible. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." It was Benjamin Franklin who noted, "A Bible and a newspaper in every house, a good school in every district, all studied and appreciated as they merit, are the principal support of virtue, morality, and civil liberty. Wake up, America, and please see the light." I'm Ron Edwards. Please view my new website, theronedwards.talkspot.com.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. Our next guest is Chris D. Bentley. I'm actually calling to get him on the phone right now. He is an entrepreneur and master real estate agent, also an author. I'm excited to have him on the show today. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. I was just doing your intro. Thank you.
It sounded amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being on the show today. Like I said, I was saying he's a business owner and author. We're going to talk to him about how to stop buying leads and rebuild your brand. I'm so anxious to hear what you have to say about that. A little bit more about Chris. Like I said, he's a Dallas realtor. He's got over 15 years experience in selling real estate in multiple states. He's a three-time $1 million producer 3 years in a row, has over 80 YouTube videos, and 2 times voted D Magazine Best Realtor in Dallas. He is also a member of the Rogers Healy team, widely recognized as one of the premier real estate companies in Dallas and Fort Worth areas, and author of 2 books on real estate. Without further ado, Christy Bentley.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm super pumped to be on.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you on. Your video about how to not buy leads and rebuild your brand caught my eye as somebody who's a recovering financial advisor, among other things. And I'm sure you probably know people, and I think all of us who do business based on leads kind of all know that same struggle. So I thought it was a great topic to talk to you about. And plus the homes that you sell. Wow. Gorgeous. Is there anything that I left out of your bio? I did kind of a quick and dirty of your bio, but is there anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I got 3 books now, and magazine again this year, so 3 years in a row, which is really tough. So yeah.
Excellent brag. That is
Yeah.
that is
Well, I mean, I like doing what I do, so it's not really bragging. It's just, I'm excited about it. It's really tough to do 3 years in a row, and doing 3 books essentially back to back to back was a fun thing to do. I'm actually thinking about doing a 4th book this winter. It's just, when you enjoy doing stuff, you enjoy, talking about it.
Exactly. I was just my guest the previous hour. We were talking about how when you are being interviewed, you're usually excited about the topic that you talk about. So you're typically pacing around a room and just super hyped to talk to whoever it is that you're talking to. So we can weave in whatever valuable information that you think would be valuable to my audience, especially for budding people who are in similar industries. Like I said, I'm friends with several realtors, so I'm really hoping that they're going to check out this show. Several financial advisors and just people who are in businesses and entrepreneurial pursuits where leads are very important. And I thought that you had some really great insights where that's concerned.
Yeah, I'd love to share it. A little back history. It's about a year and a half ago or so. I put all my money into leads, online leads, and the platform wasn't getting picked up from Google. And, as you sign up for leads, it's never like a month to month. It's usually a year or 6 months. So I was stuck and I wasn't making any money. And one thing led to another. And, I was living a flamboyant, in terms of how I kind of consider a flamboyant lifestyle, at least a new BMW. And I was literally a month away from moving into the car and living there, in a car. And, it's tough. And how I bounced back was I had to get a job. And then I just continued to hone in on my skill, which is selling. I'm a very good salesperson, and also I'm a very good business owner. And I think all I just did was just double down because I had time. I didn't have anything going on, so I had time. I had to figure out a way to generate leads for free and get myself away from, moving into a car that I just leased. So for people that kind of starting out, I think the toughest thing is blocking out the noise. And what I mean by that is, like, everybody that's in sales or, entrepreneurship and just in general is going to tell you that you have to do it 100%, no job, stick your chest out, and that's really not the case at all. I mean, you can work a full-time job in real estate and still show people houses, depending on the job, obviously, but you can still show houses at lunchtime, after work. I mean, you're going to have to hustle. I mean, you're going to work the same hours, the 8 hours that you put in your day job, you'd work afterwards, or, during lunch break or different stuff. So that's how I did it. I just started, asking people, if they wanted to do stuff. I hit people up on Facebook, IM. I posted every single day, multiple platforms. I just kept being in front of people to the point where it just nauseated them, and either they were going to do business with me or they were going to unfriend me. So,
well, that's kind of funny that you say.
No secret to it.
You know what? It's kind of funny that you say that, because I've had now this podcast for about 3 years. Now, granted, people kind of come and go on your friends list and things like that. And I also have a show page, and it's on all kinds of social media. But I've had friends say, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know you had a podcast." Like, I feel like I post about it all the time, is my point. Like, I feel like I'm bombarding my friends about my show, even though it only takes place once a week. And there are still people like, "Oh, you have a podcast? I didn't know you had a podcast." There's still people. So it's just, I think we have to not be afraid to kind of keep banging it over people's heads as far as promoting ourselves.
Yeah, I think a lot. So I moved here to Dallas from the Washington, D.C. metro area over 6 years ago. And I honestly, when I first moved here, I knew maybe a handful of people, and it's just through somebody else. So I had no problems, pushing out my content. And even now, like, I know a lot of people, because I do a lot of marketing and a lot of networking at events and stuff like that. And even now, like, I'll still beat people over the head with it. And, they'll still be like, hey, are you still selling real estate? And I was like, man, I was in the magazine, for Christ's sake.
I was in the magazine. Did you miss that? Millions of dollars worth of stuff that I sold.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you say beat people over the head, let's talk nuts and bolts. Like, are there specific platforms that you recommend over others? Like, I don't know, Facebook over Twitter, LinkedIn over Facebook, that kind of thing. Like, what's your kind of secret, if you will? You said it's not a secret, but if it were easy to do, or if everybody could do it, I think they'd be doing it. They'd be super successful like you are, and they're not. So tell me about the nuts and bolts of it.
I'll give you some secrets. I always post around 10 o'clock at nighttime, or early in the morning. So usually and I don't mean to sound this really bad, but it's going to. Most of the time, like, you got to put the kids to bed kind of deal. So that's usually when parents have time, is usually after 10 o'clock. That's usually like kind of the wind down. Everybody's kind of in bed, and for whatever reason, people check their phones. And then early in the morning is really great because most people look at their phones while they're going to the bathroom. I know that sounds really bad, but that's what it is. So
it's true.
If you get in front of them, it works. And then, of course, if you're doing videos, like I like to do videos, if you have it where you actually have it, scripted, you can kind of see the words coming across and not have it on volume. That works even better because then people can just read it, not listen. So,
using closed captions.
Correct. Sorry, closed caption. So Facebook is really good. LinkedIn is really good. Having content that is like real and not something that's a company thing. Like if I were to put, a bunch of happy people together and their dog, and be like, move into a house. Like nobody's gonna look at that versus me having something that's real and like a real photo of me doing something, or a real video. That'll capture people's attention. Twitter is cool. It's just really noisy. So you have to really pick out your times when you do it, and you have to do a lot of it. So I don't really do a lot of Twitter. I just do like once or twice a day. YouTube is really popular. I do YouTube. I don't do TikTok. I don't do Snap. Snap is really popular for millennials. So if you're a millennial, you're speaking to that, that genre or that generation, then I would definitely do a lot of Snapchat. Instagram is really good. I do a lot of Instagram stories with just photos. It's just really hard to beat because unless you're ridiculously good looking, you're not going to get a lot of views and a lot of likes. So don't take that personally. People could still be looking at your stuff. They just may not like it.
Oh, okay. That's true. That's true. And I think that's true on a lot of social media, because I don't know about you, but I run into people who are like, oh my gosh, I love your post, or, oh my gosh, I love that video, or whatever. And they didn't like, for a fact that particular person never likes or loves like any of your stuff.
Uh-huh.
But you run into them in person and they tell you how much they like it.
Yeah, you can actually cheat. I'll give you a cheat. You can do a video and see how many people watch your video, and then you'll know, like, kind of offhand how many people actually look at your page on Facebook. So I've used that as kind of a barometer of how many people actually look at my stuff all the time.
I like that. I like that a lot. And so how do you actually transform these into leads? There's a transition, if you will, from, okay, I posted this information on Facebook, or I posted this video on Facebook, to actually getting that person's contact information, turning them into a lead, and selling them. What is how does that transition work?
Well, you have to come off as an expert. So you have to figure out what you're going to sell and kind of hone in on that. So I like to sell luxury. Doesn't mean that I do everything as a luxury deal. I do everything outside of that, or outside of Dallas. I do some stuff in Fort Worth every once in a while. But you just come across as an expert in whatever it was. So when I first started and I came here, I was very good at investment properties. So I labeled myself as an investment guy. So I showed, houses that needed work or houses that you could flip. And then I would like run preliminary numbers and put that on Facebook, and people are like, "Oh my God, like this is fantastic." So it kind of gets people's attention, and then you kind of start the conversation, and that's where you need is the conversation. Like you're in the door if you know what you're talking about and have that conversation.
Right. So you want to post your successes as well.
Yeah, exactly. You want to post like, your closing, or, if you're doing financial services, you want to, talk about how you save your clients so much money towards, whatever, and now you're putting it towards retirement, and they can retire 5 years earlier, whatever the situation is.
So now you've written 3 books so far, and you're thinking about writing a 4th one. Tell us about those books and what's in them and why we might want to buy them. What was your first book that you wrote?
The first book is mostly geared towards first-time home buyers. It's 7 steps to home buyer misconceptions. It's just something that I've had in my head for so long that I just really needed to just put it on paper and just give it to people. I just give it to people. If any of the listeners on my show want any of my books, I'll just send it to them. You can just reach me on any of the platforms. But yeah, it's just a way for me to like get, somebody will ask me some questions about, buying a home. I'll be like, "Oh, it's in my book. Here, take a look at it." If they look at it, awesome. But if not, like, they're like, "Wow, this guy wrote a whole book." And it's nothing like super long. It's not like War and Peace. I think it's like 9 pages. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like super thick, but it gives like a lot of good information for somebody that's just, kind of in the dark about buying a house.
And there is a lot to it too, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. I think people can get pretty easily frustrated with the process of buying a home, and it's easy to make some mistakes.
The process, and then you got family members and loved ones that are telling you different stuff. One person's like, "Oh, like put 20% down." The other person's like, "No, put like 3.5% down." So you're getting like all kinds of different stuff, and you're hearing about this, and they had their problems here, and and I get it all the time, and I'm like, "Well, that doesn't work for this situation." It is what it is. So you're just trying to help people. That's my whole business, is just helping people and try to steer them in the right direction.
So what would you say your number 1 tip is from the home buying book, Home Buying Misconception? What would you say the number 1 misconception is?
The toughest thing for me to get through people is that understanding what your monthly payment is going to be every single month. So you can go out and like I can go out right now and afford a really, really nice house, but the fact is that like I really don't want to spend that much money every single month. So as amazing as that house is, like I would rather have the money in my pocket. So you have to kind of work with the numbers and be like, okay, well, I could afford a $500,000 house, but to get my mortgage payment to like $1,500, like I really need to stay in like the below $300,000 range. So
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And do you think that that's on the part of buyers not knowing, or on agents not doing a thorough enough job, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both, and I think it's also the loan officer's responsibility. I think the loan officer needs to be like, okay, like what are you comfortable spending every single month? And they're like, oh, well, like my lease is $1,200, but I can go up another $300. Well, you shouldn't really pre-approve them for $500,000.
Right. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Now you have another book called the seven tips to get your highest value for your house, what every home seller needs to know. Now, why would a person want this book?
This one is more geared towards just some really basic stuff that nobody really talks about, like having flowers in your front yard, or like actually having grass in the front yard, or keeping up with stuff like scraping the popcorn ceilings before you sell it, cleaning the air duct because the return vent always gets nasty. Just some really, really basic stuff that would kill it if you're getting into somebody that's going to walk through the house and I see something like that, immediately I'm going to be like, okay, great. Now I'm going to have, some sort of allergy problem if I have this return duct that's all gunked up. I pull up to the house and it looks terrible. There's no yard. Just really basic stuff that people overlook.
Okay. Would you say that's probably like your number one tip is just like cleaning and making sure that everything is tidy, so to speak, that you have good curb appeal.
Exactly. And like making sure that the walls are like one color and not like red in one room and green in the other. And you're like, oh man, like what happened here?
Kill the accent walls. Accent walls used to be were a thing for a little while.
You would be surprised what I find.
Yeah, I would be. I would be surprised. I had, like I said, I have a lot of friends who are real estate agents, so I've heard the stories. One of the, and you can deny, you can affirm or deny this finding in your homes: stripper poles in the bedrooms. That's one of.
I have found it. I found jacuzzi tubs. I have tons of stories about all kinds of stuff. And like sometimes I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I sold that. Like, wow, that's crazy. And then so it's funny. My broker sold a property owned by a famous athlete. I'm not going to name who, but one of the biggest pictures had a big stripper pole and stage on there. And I'm like, guys, you realize what that is, right? And they're like, no, like it's just a pole. And I was like, oh, just shaking my head. Like, but it's sold.
And so, and for somebody that was like, oh my gosh, it could not possibly be more perfect.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So now you have a third book on real estate investing, the basics for beginners, and that's probably like your heaviest book, right?
Yeah, it's my most recent, and that's just something that you'll find on probably like the first day if you do one of those like $5,000 weekend courses for real estate. That's what you're going to find. And I created that as a way for people that are like kind of interested in what it'd be like to be an investor in real estate, and then really knowing what it's like to be an investor in real estate, meaning like being a landlord, putting money down. What happens if you flip a house and it's undesirable and now you're stuck with it for like 6 months and you're making payments? Like, what is it really like being an investor? So that's what I created.
So you're saying that it's not all super glamorous.
Yeah, TV makes it out to be something like very quick and easy. Like, you just sell a stock and you sell a house. Well, houses sometimes don't sell for a long time. And then you got a mortgage payment. So now let's say that you have 2 mortgages, like you have a house and now you have your investment property. Well, if you didn't save up enough money, now you're underwater. So now you're losing money every single month and you're hemorrhaging, what they call hemorrhaging. So, it could be a really bad situation. I've seen people go bankrupt before.
Oh, goodness. So that's not good. How would you say, you're saying the basics for beginners, and you said you've seen people go bankrupt. Do you recommend that people use like their savings in order to start investing, or they go about it a different way?
There's many different ways to do it. There's hard money lenders. There's traditional loans if the house is in reasonable shape. It's just really your expectations. Like if you expect to get into something and change a couple of things here and there, and then be able to flip it for $30,000 more. Sometimes it works, but I've seen the end result, which is like it's not working, and you're stuck with something, and you're upset, and if you have a spouse and your spouse is getting on to you every single day, and it's just never like a really good scenario. In order to do it, I think safely is to do it with either some partners that can leverage, or maybe be a smaller part, like you're a small minority partner, and with a bunch of other people, so you can kind of get the feel of it first. Because there's some really bad horror stories. You go in there and let's say you flip the house and then you find out that all the pipes are ceramic and need to be replaced, and you got problems everywhere like sewage. Like that's going to cost you $8,000.
Oh my goodness. In order to, and that's part of the investing you probably didn't anticipate.
Exactly. exactly. You didn't have that in your budget. Now you're coming out of pocket. Now you got this thing that you don't, you got a house that you're not living in. I mean, it's a nightmare.
It sounds like it. It certainly sounds like it. So listen, where can people find find all of your information as far as your social media, your website? Tell us about that.
It's Chris D as in danger Bentley.com is my website. Facebook, same thing, Chris D Bentley, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Like I said, I'm on Snap, and I'm really not on it. I think that's about it.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. You offered us some really valuable tips.
No problem. Love to be on the show. Last thing I kind of want to tell everybody is, so I started and then I quit, and I started and I quit, and started and I quit. One of the things that I really realized later on in life is that you just have to have some patience. And I know that's really tough for people. But if you just have patience and kind of stick with it, if it's working and you're like making $400 every single month, that's cool. Just build on it and just don't give up. Just have patience.
I like it. That's great advice, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Yep. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. That was Chris D. Bentley. Our guest for our first hour was Carolyn Benson. I hope that you enjoyed the show today. We're going to have to end a little bit early. I apologize. And thank you so very much for being here. And remember, all of this is very important because after all, it's your money. Have a great weekend.